Alright, so before we start this list, I will be including all of the Chess Kingdom bosses, aka the 5 bosses where you have to parry to win, and I will also be including the Angel and Devil secret fight, which I won't be able to give you gameplay because for some reason you can only fight them once. Let's get into it. Number 8, Angel and Devil. I mean, this is probably, in my opinion, this is the worst fight in this DLC and in Cuphead. The mechanic where if you look the other way, the objects that don't hurt you, and the objects that hurt you don't hurt you is just confusing and annoying to deal with. Also, why is the music kind of creepy? I mean, we have the devil skeleton in the background, and the music is pretty creepy too. Not much to say about this fight besides this took me forever. Like this took me so long. Anyway, still not terrible. Number 7 is Glumstone Giant, the first boss that most people fight in the DLC. This was a very interesting fight. If you don't use Chaser or Crackshot, the weapon I'm using here, the first phase is extremely hard. That gnome that you just see pops out, they always shoot fireballs, and they're just very annoying to deal with. The geese attack can also be kind of luck-based sometimes, because when he calls the geese, the platform that you're on can go right up into the geese. And the witch, I love the witch attack though, which you saw earlier. Next phase is pretty easy. You just gotta keep moving and just equip Smoke Dash to dodge the ball, or just stay on the side, or just stay on the left and right side. I didn't even notice this at first until I started writing the script, but the puppets are King Dice and the Devil. It's a nice little detail. There are also these little gnomes coming out to make it a little harder, but you can just mostly ignore them. And then he eats you, which is not something I was expecting when I first started. The final phase and the weirdest phase in the DLC, he eats you and you face, well, I don't even know. This is surprisingly pretty fun, as parrying the bell to bring back the platforms is pretty cool. And also love how he feeds the platforms and then they disappear. It's pretty cool. Crackshot and Chase are perfect for literally every single phase in this. A pretty fun fight, but I wish the second phase was harder, and that Crackshot and Chaser did not dominate at this. Number 6 are the chess bosses. Like I said, all of these bosses are grouped together. The first boss, pawns, are simple and fun. The chaos of the pawns jumping down faster and faster, and you gotta pay attention. It's pretty cool. The knight is great. I love dodging his charge attack, and though sometimes you can accidentally get hit when parrying, it's a pretty cool fight. Next, we have my favorite, the bishop. While avoiding the bells and his face while putting out the candles is chaotic and extremely fun. Seriously, it's just so fun. While the rook looks easy, I struggle on him a lot. He's okay. I'm not a big fan of parrying the heads to hurt him, but it's still pretty cool. Except I can barely win this fight. Like, I always get hit on accident. And lastly, we have the queen. She's a very good fighter as well. The fast parryable lines caught me off guard immediately, as you could see there. But the cannon mechanic is pretty good too, except I can barely aim with the cannons. Like, they're a little hard to aim with. The jewelry attack is like Dr. Carl's final phase, but on the ground, and I love it. Avoiding all of it is very fun. Like I did with King Dice, I'm gonna quickly rank all the bosses out of 10. The pawns are 7 out of 10, the knight is 8.5 out of 10, the bishop is 9, the rook is 5, and the queen is 9. Alright. I like the chess bosses way better than King Dice's fight. Number 5 is Chef Saltbaker. The more I fought this boss, the worse it seemed to get for me. The first time I fought this boss, I got pretty mad, but I thought it was pretty fun, because this is a very hard fight. Once I replayed the whole game as Chalice, though, to get that one skin, that you can see right now, I thought this boss was pretty good. It's just good. The first phase is just paying attention to a billion things at once, and then if you go into expert mode, it's paying attention to a trillion things at once. Expert mode is a nightmare. The limes, I called them onions before. I don't even know how I saw that. It is not onions at all. Are the only part of the phase I hate. Like, the boomerangs can just come out of nowhere, and I just, you usually have to stay in the dead middle because you can never tell when the limes are coming. Solid first phase, and the limes mostly ruin it, as the other attacks are fine. The fire also seems a little out of place, as it can come out of nowhere and attack. The second phase is my favorite by far, as all of the attacks are very fair and looks great. Not much else to say, I mean. The leaves coming down, the fire jumping, which is still very out of place, and the pepper sneezing. Even though it's a very long phase, though, it takes forever. The next phase lasts only literally about like 10 seconds. Probably the shortest phase of all time. With the salt dancer, whatever they are, jumping around while there was a solid floor. It's a nice and fun phase, but lasts for literally no time at all. Pretty easy too. The final phase is just doing a bunch of platforming while avoiding this heart, and it's a pretty fun time. But if you have Chase, you can defeat this boss in a very short time as well. But it is a very fun phase, and they brought the parrying does damage mechanic back. Very good phase and a very good finale at this fight. Overall, it looks amazing. It has the best visuals in my opinion. It looks the best, but it's just a very good boss. Next we have Esther Winchester. I don't even know how to say their name, but we have the most chaotic boss of the aisle. I thought this fight was impossible when I first did it because there are so many things attacking you at once. Like, look at all this. You got so much going on. The first phase is pretty cool. Avoiding the objects looks pretty hard, but all you gotta really pay attention to most of the time is the dynamite, because the dynamite is really hard to avoid. Next, you got the second phase, which is short and simple. The vacuum part is pretty cool, and final two phases are very weird, as she literally becomes a Frankfurter hot dog. I don't even know what happens here, but it is weird, but it's very fast-paced and very fun. The final phase is just... I don't even know what I know what the devs were thinking during this phase, but the final phase is very good. The final phase is very good, a very fun final phase. But I just said the same thing twice. Next, we have Moonshine Mob, the first boss that I faced in beat. It was pretty nice to see that one unused phase in the second phase and the unused character in the first phase to come back into the DLC form. First phase is very fun. While it's not really that hard, it's a very good phase. The backup bugs and cop makes this phase pretty chaotic, but it's very good. When I first did this fight, I struggled a lot because these web bombs do look like they will hurt you. But you can just dash past them and you won't get hit. Kill the spider, dude. This phase honestly is really easy if you have smoke dash. While I didn't have smoke dash, I had the invincible roll, which still made this really easy. All you have to really do is stay on the bottom and then dodge and roll through it. It's a very short, but it's a kind of fun phase. One thing I will say is that this stage has my favorite song of the entire DLC. Next phase, you face the anteater, which is kind of like an endurance test as it lasts a while. But having the tongue fake you out always makes you keep moving and never staying in place. Because I've gotten faked out by this thing so many times. It's a very good final phase. Oh wait, it's a fake knockout. I've watched so many people react to the fake knockout, and luckily, I was paying attention and still won, but the snail's attacks are pretty fun to dodge. The fake knockout is amazing. Next, we have Mortimer Feast, the first boss that we have been shown gameplay of, and one of my favorites. This is a great boss. This is a great boss. First phase is just Mortimer spawning icicles to attack, and other normal stuff, just like pulling a whale out of nowhere. Very normal. Fun first phase, but I kind of wish it lasted longer and had a bit more attacks. The second phase is absolutely amazing. All the attacks are fair and fun, though you can easily get faked out while the giant's moving. And those popsicle birds, they've got me before. They always get me. But this phase would be really easy without the popsicle birds. Anyway, once you defeat him, you go into the final phase in these 5 rotating platforms, which is a very good final phase as well. It is chaos. Platforms moving in circle, and while he uses all of his attacks, I really like all of his attacks in this phase. I do not hate a single attack in this. Like, the electric eye is very easy to avoid, and I kind of wish it flashed a little faster, but it's very good. I love this fight very much. Not much to say about this boss, other than it's absolutely amazing. But still, it's not the best boss in my opinion. Number 1 is the Howling Aces. This was extremely easy to rank because these dogs are some of my favorite bosses of all time in all of video games. All of this fight is pretty much just perfect. It's just very fun. And also the flying fire hydrants. You face these 4 mini dogs that shoot out the word bow for some reason. It's kind of funny, but it's very fun to dodge. It is very short though, as you can defeat the first 2 dogs easily if you have your super. Next, you get into the final phase where lasers attack you. It's an amazing final phase. And then you learn the new mechanic, the screen tilting. Oh, this is my favorite mechanic of all time. And then you get caught off guard when the screen tilts, and then you have to dodge balls. Dodge dog balls. This took me off guard immediately, and I loved it. And then you go upside down, and then you tilt again. The tilting, lasers, and balls combined to make this an excellent final phase. Anyway, so that was my list. I will probably make an easiest to hardest list eventually, but I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day and goodbye. This DLC is absolutely amazing.